Hello and welcome back, my dear listeners. I hope you're doing well. Today we have a fantastic collection of stories, and it is the start of the new schedule. Interestingly enough, this is also the first part of what is going to be a two-part video series, kind of. There will probably be more in the future, but I collected enough to do 2 videos back-to-back on this one, and because it's a collected topic, I kind of wanted to do it, 2 videos, one after the other. Today we have the first 5 stories, which are 5 creepy encounters at Walmart. Again, this is part 1, so on Friday there will be the second half, which will be 5 more creepy encounters at Walmart. Honestly, creepy encounters happen at Walmart all the time. I'm sure you all are aware of the whole people of Walmart joke, meme, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, unfortunately, those Walmart people aren't always funny. Sometimes they're downright terrifying. That said, here are the first 5 creepy encounters at Walmart. Enjoy. I'm out doing some nightly grocery shopping after work since I take the bus and it's on the way to my apartment. So, I like to get it done so I don't have to worry about doing this crap during my days off. Anyways, I'm in Walmart, and I'm pretty small for a 20-year-old female. I'm 5 foot exactly, and I only weigh around 125 to 135 pounds. I'm basically the least intimidating person ever. Well, I noticed this man when I first enter, and he's handsome, tall, dressed rather nice for being just at Walmart. He stood out to say the least, and we made eye contact, and I smiled because I try not to be rude to anyone. Well, I'm walking around the store and notice him in a couple aisles I've gone down, but this Walmart is relatively small, so my alarm bells weren't ringing just yet. But I did make a mental note of how many times we just happened to be in the same area. Around the 4th time in the bread aisle, he pops up again, and I can see him staring at me before looking down at his phone, typing quickly, then looking back up at me and typing away furiously at his keyboard again. He's definitely giving me the skeevies now, and so I decide to leave the aisle quickly and dash between some clothing racks. As I'm trying to stay hidden, he emerges from the aisle, looks around, and I think he probably sees me peeking from around the racks and starts heading in my direction. After about 10 minutes of me trying to quickly and quite frantically gather all of my groceries, he is still tailing me. Finally, having enough, I stop abruptly, almost causing him to rear-end me with his basket. I take a deep breath and ask very loudly, "Do I know you?" His eyes get very big and he takes a step back, obviously surprised that I confronted him. He stammers out some words that I can't understand, and I say, "Why are you following me? Do I know you? What do you want?" At this point, my voice is slowly growing in volume, and I'm causing a scene and people are beginning to stare. Noticing the people watching us, he about faces and leaves without another word. I wander around about 5 more minutes, and then I finally call a Lyft to come get me because there's no way I'm waiting or walking around at night after that incident. And as I'm waiting in the area where you grab your basket, I clearly see him next to one of the trees in the parking lot with 2 other men, just standing there and waiting. I don't know if they were waiting for me or for someone else, but when my Lyft got there, I put all the groceries in the car in one run because I didn't want to risk them seeing me and following the Lyft. I don't know, this was hella creepy to me, but I don't know if it belongs in Let's Not Meet, so if it does, just let me know. I got a bunch of other crazy stories about people being complete whack jobs, just let me know if you want to hear them. I go to Walmart around 7 a.m. Where I live, Walmarts are 24 hours, and I'm sure a lot of others are as well. It's not crowded, and I can get a spot right after the 4 handicap spots. I park and get my reusable bags out of my back seat. When I move to open my back door, there is a man sitting in this black Audi across the way from me, and he's staring at me. He has tinted windows, but I can still see him enough to know that he's looking at me. I was weirded out, but didn't really let it get to me. Maybe he liked what he saw. Anyway, I'm in Walmart for about 45 to 60 minutes. When I come out, this man has moved his car not to the parking spot in front of my car, but the one next to the person in front of me. I quickly shove my bags in my car, shut the door, and put my cart back. I get in my car and lock the doors. I'm hella freaked out, so I take my phone out of my purse and start taking photos, trying to get a picture of the license plate. As soon as I started to do that, he put his car in reverse and left fast. I don't know if it's a coincidence or not, but it left me uneasy for the rest of that day. This actually took place in 2016, and before I transferred to a different line of work. As I say, I've seen it all working at a service desk, and to say the least, this encounter marks the creepiest I have ever had. This was around 2 weeks prior to Christmas, and one of my busiest times. Though, around 8 p.m. to 10 p.m., it slows down to a crawl at my desk. Between managing the phone and returns, I was a one-woman army at my desk, and I called the service desk my service desk around this time, and customers knew it too. I was not flexible on many rules or policies. Now, around 9:30 p.m., we get some people who come in. I get the occasional return, call for a cab for elderly people who have no cell phones, usual group at first, and then this one guy comes in. He was just odd. He was wearing what looked like an outfit from a disco movie. He walks up to the desk asking to use the courtesy phone, which we don't have one. We used to, but after some rather rude guy threw it causing a hole in the wall, we took the courtesy phone away. I told him no, and he asked me if I had a cell phone he could use. Nope, my cell phone is in my locker. He then asks for my phone number. I just stopped and stared. Huh? I was staring. I suddenly say, I'm married. No, you're not. You work here. He was laughing. You want to get coffee after your shift? I saw my CSM, customer service manager, walk up and tell him to leave me alone. I was relieved and did my returns to claims and food claims. By the time I got up there, my fiance was coming in to pick up some supplies for dinner and to borrow some cash for soda. Disco Man was talking to my customer service manager, which was blocking the guy. I was informed that I was needed in self-checkout, which I leapt for. Of course, Disco Man was following me, and again asked me for my number. By now, my fiancé and his friend, who is my ex-boyfriend, although best friend to both of us, were both checking out. When Disco Guy didn't get my number, he moved on to the girl nearest me, another coworker, who was freaked out. Apparently, this guy was moving down the line to all the so-called single females. I was given the walkie and I called LP and then told them what was going on. As Disco Man went right back toward me, he was suddenly stopped by LP and an off-duty policeman. Finally, I was off and clocking out. Sure enough, my fiancé was told to wait by the electronics back door. LP was with him. We walked up front to see Disco Man yelling that I was a two-timing and that he would fight my fiancé. Disco Man was in handcuffs and basically being led out of the LP office. I asked in the car what was going on, and my fiancé just said, it's best not to know. He later told me that in 2018, Disco Man was wanted for sexual assaults. And yes, Disco Man was creepy as hell. Who goes to Walmart to pick up chicks? This story isn't super juicy or anything, I just thought I would share. Years ago when I was a teenager, probably 15, I was staying at my aunt's house for a week during the summer to spend some time with my cousins since we didn't live in the same town. I wasn't allowed to wear makeup until a few years later, but being at my cousin's house, which was less strict, I figured why not. My cousin, who was about 13, did my makeup and put some on herself. Nothing too fancy, just eyeliner and mascara. That day, we walked around the mall, just the two of us, feeling so grown up. After we were picked up, my aunt had taken us and my two other cousins, her brothers, to Walmart. We were all together, and they knew the Walmart pretty well, so we were allowed to just go walk around while she shopped. Not long after my aunt left, we noticed these two guys were following us around the store. They were well into their 20s, and they had no business talking to us. We kept trying to walk through the clothing to get away from them, but we never could. They would just follow close behind and basically catcall us. It's beyond me why we didn't go and tell an employee, but we were just nervous, I guess. Eventually, my aunt did come to get us to leave, and the guys disappeared. I was walking around Wally World around 5 last night looking for dinner when I came across him. I first noticed him because the only thing he had in his cart were 6 family-sized bags of Takis. I paused for half a second near him because who the hell needs that many Takis? And he made eye contact with me. He was an older Hispanic-looking man with glasses. I see him out of the corner of my eyes a few times while shopping after that, but that always happens at Walmart, right? I walked to the cat food aisle next when I noticed him in the aisle next to mine, with his cart pushed out awkwardly to where I can see him and I assume he can see me. He just stands there and I'm feeling awkward because all I want are to get my cats some treats.
Do you need help?
He walked up to me and asked. I declined because I realized I had already made the mistake of looking at this man and now he won't leave me alone. I went to the self-checkout, partially because I knew a guy that worked in there, and if this weird man kept being weird, I knew I had someone close that I could tell. As I was scanning my items, the man walked by me again with his cart and waved at me very slowly. I assumed he had just checked out. I took my time at the self-checkout counter after that, because I'm a 95-pound woman who's paranoid about getting kidnapped. When I walked out to my car with my cart, there was an empty space next to the passenger side door, so that's where I parked my cart. As I'm putting my bags in the back seat, I hear a car and feel eyes on me, so I go to move the cart so whoever can park in that empty spot. As I do, I realize the car had the old man in it. He stopped and waved at me again before slowly driving off. I sat in my car for 15 minutes with the doors locked because I was afraid he was going to wait for me to leave so that he could follow me. I know this may seem paranoid, but the way he kept looking at me, the way he kept waving, and then would happen to find me again when this Walmart was so busy, I literally did not see anyone else twice. He also didn't put anything else in his cart that whole time. Not a single thing from any of the aisles that I saw him in. For context, this happened around 5 p.m., and where I live during this time of year, that's still broad daylight. I almost want to think he had something mentally wrong with him, because I think a predator would be smarter than that. Why is Walmart always a place where the strange people tend to, accumulate? Now, I have to say, I have seen some pretty strange people in the Walmarts near me, but for the most part, I'm actually pretty grateful that mostly I just see people that are rude as hell. Not happy to see rude people, just saying I'd rather have the incredibly rude people than, these kinds of weirdos, I guess is the best way to put that. Alright, well I hope you enjoyed that video. If you did enjoy the video, please give it a thumbs up, I would appreciate that. Also, if you enjoy my narrations, please do consider subscribing to the channel and clicking the bell icon, as well as leaving me a comment to let me know how you're doing. I would love to hear from you. Also, I am going to put an email address down in the description. If you have any stories you would like me to narrate on my channel, please email them to me. My only stipulation is that it has to be a story that happened to you or somebody that you know very closely and you have the permission to share it. If you email it to me, I will let you know if and when I narrate it, so I would appreciate that. Also, you can find me on Twitter and Reddit, and you can also find all these sources of all these stories down in the description below. Alright, that all said, I hope you're all doing fantastic, and I hope you're ready, because on Friday, I will be doing part 2 of Creepy Walmart Encounters. But until then, my dear friends, sleep well.